First of all, introducing our challenger.
Out of the blue corner.
He's going to step in and he does. It's all over.
Let's bring on the boom.
This is Eternal MMA.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Eternal Insiders Podcast. My name is Luke and I'm your host for this show, and I'm joined today by none other than the returning and reigning Eternal MMA Lightweight champion, set to defend his title for the very first time against Quillan Salkilld for Eternal 76 in Perth, Western Australia at the HBF Stadium, shaping up to be an absolute cracker of a fight. I absolutely cannot wait for this one, so without further ado, let us introduce the man himself, the lightweight champion for Eternal MMA. Back on the podcast for the third time in a very short space of time, mind you, Mr. Blake Donnelly. Blake, thanks for joining me again on the show, man. Pleasure to have you here as always. How is everything in terms of your preparation leading up to your first title defense, man?
Yeah, it's going good. I'm not working like last camp. I was working 8-hour days and the normal sort of thing, like 5 days a week, blah, blah, blah. And I've got just a lot more time on my hands now. Not necessarily training any extra, but just getting a lot more recovery in. But in terms of everything else, it's going great, man. I'm doing my camp at home, but then I'm also traveling to Freestyle MMA, like on a Saturday and a Monday, just to do the spar some different bodies and that with Joe Lopez and the boys there. And other than that, man, just at Stockade doing my thing, same as last camp, basically.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk a little bit about that. So you're actually splitting your time between the two camps. Still at Stockade, but you're going to Freestyle MMA, as you said. Of course, Freestyle MMA, home of one Alexander Volkanovski. People may have heard of who that is. But you've also been training a little bit with Justin Van Heerden. You guys obviously were showing out on the same card together. What prompted that move to sort of go down there on the weekends? What experience have you gained from going down there on the weekends and getting that training in? Have you managed to train a little bit with Volk at all? Like, what's that experience been like for you overall?
Yeah, well, I've always sort of gone back and forth there when I can. A lot now, like I said, I've got a lot more free time, so I can make it work too. But yeah, I need to spar different bodies. You can't just spar the same bodies in the gym. I've got really good people to train with here, but you need to mix it up and get different looks. And another reason is Justin's got to fight the same night as me, so we're peaking at the same time. And yeah, obviously Volko's there, and if you're getting rounds in with him, then that always boosts your confidence. In a way, you're hopping in the cage and you're like, oh, this guy is an Alex Volkanovski. So
yeah, I have no doubt about that. I mean, I've heard from people that have trained with Alex in the past, and they've always said it's just a different level. Like the experience you gain from that, and the value that it adds to your training. Like it'd be hard to quantify, I'm sure. But just on that, obviously, you said you're getting that extra body. When with Justin and everything. You guys working towards that same goal, of course. You're both fighting at Eternal 76. Justin headlining the card, defending his title.
So is Sebastian too. Yeah, sorry. Sebastian's fighting there too, yeah.
Of course, so, quite a few guys that'll be sort of joining on that show. So pretty cool for you guys to all sort of get those rounds in together. Is there a benefit to sort of having that, in any quantifiable way, not only sort of training together, but also having that same date, the same goal, showing up at the same time, on that same sort of timeline? Like, is that of any extra benefit to you at all in your mind?
I think so. It's good in the back locker room having that vibe with other people, familiar faces. I remember for the John Bruin fight in September, the freestyle, the same crew, they were backstage, and we had the hardstyle music playing on the JBL, and it was a good vibe, and we were talking and warming up together. More bodies to move around with and stuff, and it was cool. And besides that, we both got the same goals on the same day, so we're just keeping on the same baseline with all that sort of stuff, with the training, with the sparring round. So yeah, it's really good. I think it's really important too.
Yes, I mean, we're barely 2 months removed from you first capturing the title from David Martinez. I mean, what an experience that was for you. I mean, in that short space of time and in hindsight, do you sort of see any quantifiable growth in your game in that sort of time? Like we said, it's only sort of 2 months coming in your first title defense, but sort of looking back there now, do you see that sort of growth in your game now that you sort of get a chance to look back and where you're at sort of now leading into your first title defense?
Yeah, for sure. I guess at the end of the day, it's only like, 2 months apart, but I think with every fight, you just grow so much. It seems, you just see, like every fight I'm in, a different sort of position and I haven't been in another fight, no matter how many I've had. And, you go off of that and then you watch the footage and you say, oh yeah, that's what I should have done differently. And, oh, that's what that worked. Let's add to that, So, it's definitely made a difference. I'm getting so much better every day, literally. So yeah, it's good.
No, and David Martinez has to be said, definitely one of the better grapplers we got in the game. Everybody knows knows you as, one of the better up and coming, I guess, prospects that we have in the country in terms of having such a well-rounded skill set. To be able to go out there and put yourself against David Martinez and show out the way you did, incredibly impressive stuff, and bodes well for you coming into your first title defense. I just want to ask, 7-1 as a professional. The one blemish that you had on your record was against Dim Skillies back in October of 2020. You hadn't lost sort of prior to that fight, and you haven't lost since then, going on to a 3-fight winning streak to get the title, of course. Looking back at that, with that loss that you had against Dimps, do you think something like that played a pivotal part in your career in terms of where you're at now with your skill set as a professional, coming into now being the lightweight champion?
Definitely. Definitely. Just respecting consequence, I guess, and, keeping a tighter guard. And yeah, I think it's just very important in general, like feeling like I used to lose a little bit in amateurs, like, when I wasn't, when things were different in general, I was in a different place and whatnot. But yeah, I think it's not, I wouldn't say it's necessary, obviously, but it's a benefit sometimes feeling that pain of losing, and it's that drive you have at the gym, and it carries you on. It's good.
Well, that old saying is, you win or you learn, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's so true.
100%. But we're looking forward now. It's the first title defense coming up. Obviously, we said that you're training at Freestyle MMA. A lot of good looks that you're getting in there. Still at Stockade Training Centre. When you sort of look ahead at your opponent, Quillan Salkilld, 3-1 as an opponent, when you sort of look, has there been a key focus for yourself at this, for this training camp? When you look at Quillin and what he brings to the table, is there anything specifically that you're preparing for? Like, what sort of fight are you preparing for against Quillin coming into this fight for Eternal 76?
Yeah, well, obviously with Martinez, I think when we were having this conversation before, we were saying, we'll mix it up, this, that, and the other thing. But at the end of the day, I felt like it was a bit of a striker versus grappler. That's what it was, sold as, and that's what it, even though we're both well-rounded, that's what the game plans were for both of us. But for Quillin, like Martinez is a very good mixed martial arts fighter. He mixes up well, but I feel like Quillin is definitely mixes things up very well, and I think it just makes for a training camp where I can just do me pretty much, just mix it up and really just put my full arsenal on display.
No, I mean, and can you even see it from like a fan's perspective? I mean, for fans of the sport, at a regional level, seeing something like this for them to be able to sink their teeth into, I mean, two guys, virtually at the beginning of your careers with so much ahead of you. I mean, take yourself out of the equation if you can. You've got to go in there and defend your title and put it on the line. But, I mean, like from a fan's perspective, I mean, this is an incredibly cool matchup as far as like how good you guys on their feet, how well-rounded you are as mixed martial artists. Like, this is a bit of a dream fight coming up. Like, fans are in for a treat, yeah?
Yeah, they really are. It's just going to be, I just think it's just going to be a really high-paced scrap, honestly. A technical one. And it's literally, I think it's just going to be, we're going to be going from all angles. I think we're just going to be like, scrambling all over the place. I think it's going to be a good one to watch. It's going to be a very good one to watch.
No, I mean, I'm sure there's a part of you from your perspective, you'd almost maybe hope that it's not going to be an absolutely incredible fight because it means that you're both going backwards and forwards at each other. I'm sure you'd like to get the job done as soon as possible, maybe in your mind. But like when you sort of look at your skill set and how you go up against Quillin, do you see any sort of like noticeable advantages, any discernible sort of advantages that you have in terms of when you put your skill set against his?
It's sort of hard to tell. Like he's versed guys that are good, but they're not like I wouldn't say that they're super elite like back then when he was versing them. So it's sort of hard. It's sort of hard to gauge, exactly what he's outstanding at. But in terms of me versing him, I would just say just all around. I don't know, really, to be honest. It's just pretty much. I think I can edge him out pretty much everywhere. And I think I can pretty much. Yeah, I don't really want to give too much away, but I'm pretty confident in some certain areas, that's for sure.
No, I mean, speaking you into the past, man, I know you like to play the cards close to the chest, and of course, that's the right way to go. Obviously, you don't want to give away the game plan or anything like that. You know where you're strong. I'm sure that, your coaches or yourself had a bit of a look at Quillan's game plan. We'll see how it plays out. Again, from the fan perspective.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's just going to be one of those ones where I just do everything, Honestly, I think it's just, if he was like on the stats on like a UFC game, his stats are all high, and I think mine are all high. So it's like, you just go in there and, just go on the autopilot and just scrap. And I think that's sort of the same mentality I had for the John Bruin fight, to be honest. Hey, man, I think that's going to carry over.
If it's going to be a scrap, I mean, like I said, the fans are in for a treat. I absolutely can't wait for it. On paper, I mean, the whole card from top to bottom, obviously we said JBH versus Rod Costa for the featherweight championship.
Yeah.
You guys going in there and scrapping for the lightweight championship. I mean, just everything beyond that, as we said, talking to JBH, I mean, Alden Bates, Stewie Dare, Sebastian Soleil, your training partner as well. A lot of guys top to bottom. I mean, to be on that kind of card, I mean, not just for yourself, but I mean, you look at that in the eyeballs, we're going to be getting, UFC Fight Pass. I mean, this is a big event, yeah.
It's actually massive. I was looking at it the other day, and I was like, the people that I know really well from like watching a lot of their fights. I'm like, there's a lot of experienced people, and then I think they put John Bruin back on there, and he's a really skilled international fighter. They added some last minute ones that were like proper high level fights and evenly matched. So. Yeah, it's really exciting. The whole night's going to be exciting. Like, I've never even been to Perth before, so like I'm just hyped up for that experience as well.
First time in Perth, first time at the HBF Stadium, man.
Yeah. I looked up the HBF Stadium. They don't muck around there. It's pretty big. It's pretty nice there. It's cool.
It's very cool. It's the only event that I've been to for Eternal MMA. Being a Victorian boy, I sort of don't get just to kind of wander down the street and go to an Eternal MMA event myself. But went over there for the UFC. Had the pleasure of going there the night before. Sat cage side, obviously saw Quillin fight and everything. I mean, it was just absolutely electric. I don't necessarily know what the cards are like in the Gold Coast, but I mean, if they're anything like Perth, Western Australia, man, I mean, you're going to be feeling it. The vibe's great. Cam will tell you that, or especially Ben Vickers will tell you that. He loves it, man. And like, just from my perspective, and I've said this before on camera for the YouTube, like, I didn't know what to expect sort of going in there, because I hadn't sort of been to an MMA show outside of the UFC before. Absolutely blew me away. So pleasantly surprised. Crowd was into it from the very first bell, from the very first fight, even on the prelims right up to the main card. So just from my perspective, man, you got a lot to look forward to.
Yeah. That's just hyped me up even more, to be honest. Yeah, I can't wait, honestly. Yeah. The whole weekend's going to be crazy from the get-go.
You and me both, man. Absolutely psyched for it, as I've said. One last thing, man. Obviously, you don't like sort of giving too much of the game plan away. But, I mean, just in your mind in terms of, like, let's not predict how the fight's going to go, but a dream scenario, how you get the job done. Maybe can we see a career of hat tricks for third round doctor stoppages? Obviously David Martinez, you had the two third round doctor stoppages there. Could we perhaps aim for a third?
Yeah, I don't know. I might have to assess some things if that happens again, because that'd be really weird. But honestly, I just think, I think he's going to have that mentality to put a lot of pressure on me. And I have that. I think I'm going to have that mentality on me there to put a lot of pressure on him. So I think we're just going to collide for the first few rounds, and then we're going to see who zaps. We're going to see who wants it more. We're going to see who's been working harder in the gym. And we're going to see who digs deeper. I think it's just going to be one of those fights. Who digs deeper? I think we can both mix it up. I think we're both young and quick, strong, well-rounded, but I think it's just going to come down to like digging really deep for this one. It's a 5-round fight, and I feel like those sort of fights show those sort of sides of people more. So it's going to be a crazy fight, and I'm not just saying that. It's going to be a fucking insane fight.
Well, if that's the case, man, we've got a lot to look forward to, and we've seen you dig deep a couple of times in your career before, so nothing new for yourself. Incredibly exciting. We're 9 days out now. June 10th, HBF Stadium, your first time in Perth, Western Australia. You're going to absolutely love it, and the fans are absolutely going to love it, whether they're going there live to the event itself or UFC Fight Pass. So, mate, thank you for coming on the show for the third time. Absolutely wish you all the best coming into your first title defense, and we'll see you again on the other side, man. Hopefully yourself still as the champion. Yeah,
thank you. I honestly can't wait. 9 days out, and it's just a massive card. So I'm stoked to be co-headlining, and I'll be sitting back and watching my boy Justin after I win. So it'll be a good night.
It's going to be a great night all around, man. Thank you so much for your time.
All right. Thank you too, Luke. See you later, mate.
Thanks, brother.